Zelazny might have a run here. He pulls up. 2 laps to go at Auto Club Speedway. What a run this has been. 5 cars out front just dancing around the lead. Salas back to the bottom. Honeycutt stuck up top. Slide job out of Salas. Crossover out of Honeycutt.
23 should have a big run here. He does.
You see Salas starting to cover it up. He goes up the racetrack. Honeycutt's clear of them both. He shoves it up in front of the 23, gets himself loose. It'll be white flag this time by. Salas down low. Zelazny looking for a hole. Side by side, 3 wide, coffee in it. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go. Brought to you by Whiplash Sim Cams. Who is going to win the Luke's Playhouse 200? Honeycutt controlling the race. Coffee in second. Tires are aging. Zelazny off the top rope. Got a little bit free. He's going to crash with lights. And yes, wall there. Who knows? Honeycutt, though, leading the race. Can Coffee get a run? He's going to send it. He hits him. Big bump and run. Coffee's going to try and get away. Can Salas get there? Coffee's going to crash. Salas is going to crash. Watch Nick Lights here to the stripe. Salas is going to do it with no front bumper.
Unbelievable.
Wow. There's the white flag from Barney the Flagman. 1 lap to go at Long Beach. White flag is out, brought to you by Whiplash Sim Cams.
Yeah, can really hold him off. He looked like he's started to gap Cantonio just ever so slightly. Got about half of a second. It's been hovering right around there. Oh, Cantonio really pushing. He's sideways out of turn number 1. But Rayleigh just keeping that car pointed in the right direction. Nice and smooth, able to keep it going. It's going to be tough. Antonio knows that there's not very many chances, even if he can get close enough to him to make a move. So we'll see as they come through 6 and 7, head toward turn 8 onto the backstretch.
Deeper in the field, nothing changing. Lap traffic ahead. It's Kevin Peak and Bradley Alvis right in front of our race leaders down East Seaside Way. And to turn number 9 for the final time. Lap traffic in the way, and Rayleigh goes for it on Peak. He sends it into turn 9. He knows he can't wait. He knows he can't give an opportunity to Kevin Cantonio. Cantonio's going to take it anyway. Ships it into the hairpin, and Rayleigh's going to get away. Thomas Rayleigh is going to be a race winner in the North American Racing League. A last lap bump and run wasn't enough. This man wins at Long Beach.
Wow, what a finish coming through that hairpin. I thought they were all going to wad it up. We had lap traffic in there, staying in there.
We're finally set to open 2026 with the North American Racing League, and we're doing it at an insanely fast Formula 1 level circuit with pros and pro-ams up first. AM drivers start their season next week, but in this return to the three-class structure for NARL, we go right back to Red Bull Ring, and all the focus is on those big pro names up front. Welcome to Pit Stop TV and the virtual Spielberg, Austria. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV with Zach Lindgren alongside, and it is a pleasure to join you for continuing coverage of the North American Racing League, but now for season number 9, race number 1 here this evening. Tonight's coverage from Red Bull Ring is brought to you by Maradness, by JS Consulting, and by Screw Compressor Service. And Zach, practice just wrapped up. Qualifying is getting going now, and boy, we've got a lot of new names out there. Some returning, honestly, some from older seasons of this league that have gone on to bigger things in their iRacing career and become full-fledged pros. Now they come back as we welcome the pros back into the fold of the North American Racing League, and they're right back on top.
Yeah, with them being right back on top, you don't really see a lot of difference in times either, with the pros being back. Daniel Pastor being obviously the name that is up top for the quickest time in practice with the 127.4. He's going to be up top, but just behind them, Marco Saavedra, right behind him, Roman Pascucci right behind him as well, all separated by just over a tenth. So, I mean, just because we got pros returning, just because we got pros in, doesn't mean it's already give away the season type of field. There's already a lot of competition towards the top, and just with that, like you said, with some of the names returning, I can Eduardo Pecorini comes to immediately mind, Paulo Gadai, Nicholas Rubelar, just some of these guys that we called last year, Andrew, already returning and already putting their name in the hat as some of the competitors to watch for this race. It's going to be really, really entertaining. I'm really excited for the season to kick off. I've been looking forward to it for just a little while, so I'm really excited to see how this season shakes down and whose name we're going to be calling first.
It is definitely an exciting time to be alive and be on the iRacing.com sim, that's for sure. Let's take a look, before we get down to cars on track really quick, I want to look at the weather conditions brought to you this year by MX Wraps, and as soon as my brain collects, here where they go. There we go. Race weather on your screen, 65 degrees. Clear skies. It is rather calm out there, actually. This is almost primal conditions for these drivers. It doesn't get much better than this. Look at the date and time. I mean, the sim date is set to January 8th at 1:12 p.m. So yeah, this makes sense that it would be 65 degrees. I love this. Scott Reister, if you're listening back, please do more of this with the realistic sim date. I love this. In the winter, we know it's a little bit cooler. We're going to get the cooler track temps. In the summer, we know it's going to be warmer, hotter, slicker, harder to handle. I love that a lot. But let's get down to it. Cars on track here for qualifying. Of course, nobody has set a time just yet. The qualifying session just got going. And here's a look at one driver on track. And immediately, if you're a longtime viewer of the North American Racing League, you might be wondering why we just saw a driver weaving and warming his tires. Well, after many seasons of outlawing tire warming entirely, we are allowing it this season. Tire warming in qualifying on warm-up laps all the way through has been allowed for season number 9, and I think we're going to see drivers definitely get all they can out of these Pirelli tires this season. It's going to be a lot more, I think, prominent than I think anybody realizes going into the season. It's going to matter a whole lot. So as times roll in here, Zach, we're starting to see the Aston Martin is on track. That's always good to see. I do love this race car. And we're going to see, I think, a mix of cars, but definitely a couple of metas throughout the field.
Yeah, we've seen, I can parallel with you when it comes to the look of the Aston. It just looks so good. It looks so sleek. I mean, I'm a fan of anything that kind of looks, burn me at the stake if need be, but I'm kind of a fan of anything that kind of looks like the 86 Toyota. I used to have one, well, something close to it, so anything that looks close to it looks good, but also the Ford Mustang, the two cars that have been the primary pick for most of these drivers throughout the field, also just looks amazing, and the Rubelar paint that he has here is just absolutely fantastic. But you did kind of allude to it. There have been some mixture of car choice we see now with Pecorini with the AMG. These have been the primary 3 choices throughout the field. So we see Veloso here also with an AMG. So these have been the 3 primary cars to choose. It seems like the Aston and the Ford Mustang are kind of the primary at the top. We have seen a couple AMGs also put their names in the ring towards the top. We haven't seen a lot of mix up towards the top just yet, but we're also in qualifying in the very first race. As we see Alvarez here in the Lamborghini here. That's the first time we've seen a Lamborghini, or not the first time, but the first time out on track this season. So just with the mixture of cars, I think it's going to be really, really fun. But to have a mixture of 3 cars competing for the top, that's also going to be really fun to keep an eye on.
A lot of drivers just got their second lap time in and are all now working on their third lap time. I suspect today we might actually see lap 3 be the lap of record for a lot of these drivers. So expect a guy like this, Daniel Pastor, to go a little faster here this third lap and upset some things on the timing chart. I gotta mention Edoardo Pecorini. We've known him to be among the top drivers of this series the last season or two, but he is now at the top of Pro-Am because we've added so many pros with just absolutely astronomical I ratings. I mean, we're talking 10, 11,000. Eduardo, he's good. He stacks up, though, at just about 6,150. So he's a little below those guys that are all the way up at the top of Pro, but he's not far back in qualifying right now. And these are fixed setups, which narrows the gap a little bit. But he's just over a quarter second behind pole time at the moment. Nicholas Rublar, by the way, 1/1000th of a second off of Juan Blanat, who is going to wrap up his lap. And there we go. Daniel Pastor will go fastest, a 1:28.008 for the driver out of Slovakia.
And you can see here just the times, the difference of times, all within a tenth of each other. The top 3 within a tenth, and then you see a bit of a fall off, 2/10 from the leader as a Felipe now goes quickest with a 1:27.8. He's the first one to break that 1:27 barrier in qualifying. Are we going to see somebody else do it? But again, well, Felipe kind of threw out what I was saying right out the gate. But still, though, to have these guys that close still at Pro-Am level, as we look at the Pro-Am, Gadaya sits up top with Pecorini just behind him. Chico just behind Pecorini, all within a tenth of each other. The top 3 in both series, well, second, third, and fourth in the Pro Series, first, second, third in the Pro-Am Series, all distance between a tenth of each other. That's incredible. Saavedra now, he will take second in the Pro, breaking the 1:27 barrier. Paulo will set another lap down. He will complete a 1:28.8, I believe that said, and he's going to come to a stop for his qualifying. So get ready to wrap up qualifying for most of these drivers. These are very, very close times.
So 1:28.274 for Paulo Gerdai, reigning champion of the North American Racing League. But with the addition of this Pro class, he's bumped down to Pro-Am. So he will bear number 1 this season, but down a class, which is going to be a little bit interesting here in season number 9. Here's a look at Zach Plummer out of the United States in a Mercedes for SimCity Racing here in 2026. Miguel Colon on track. He is in a Ford Mustang this season around out of Puerto Rico. And Ricardo Delgado out of the US of A is in a Chevrolet Corvette once again. Jacob Stofko out of Canada. He just escaped out of his car, but he is in a Ford Mustang. Here's another Lamborghini out of Puerto Rico. That's going to be Angel Ledesma in car number 62. 36th on the grid right now. We have a staggering amount of cars here tonight. 50 cars signed into the Red Bull Ring. There's Icaro Piccolo out of Brazil. We've also got Andy Ray Miller out of the United States in a Ford. How about Joaquin Melo out of Argentina in a Ford? And finally, the last car on track. This is surprising to me. This guy should not be this far off, Zach, but Francesco Antonelli, the car change over to the Ford Mustang, driver out of Italy. Maybe call this a nightmare, considering it's got to be late for him, and this is an awful qualifying. Okay, I take it back. He just picked up a ton. Never mind, the lap does not count. He's going to stay at the back of the grid. 49th for Francesco Antonelli. He was contending for wins last season. That is abysmal for driver 61.
Well, and it, like you said, it may be just the car change. Maybe it's just he's not comfortable with the track and car. It could be one of the two. It could be a multitude of things. Maybe the idea is to start at the back. That way he kind of gets the 4 tires under him. As we take a look here with Jackson Resende out of Brazil, also in an AMG. He's going to be finishing up his time with about 25 seconds left to spare. So he was cutting it close if he didn't get any X's throughout any of his laps. So. It could just be a number of things. Maybe he's just trying to get everything situated, trying to get an understanding of the car, whatever it may be. But yeah, no, it's very, very odd to see Antonelli down that far when he was contending for wins against some of the pro drivers last season.
As qualifying wraps up in the first round of the season, a big thank you goes out, as always, to our partners with this North American Racing League, those being Maradness, JS Consulting, Screw Compressor Service, and Rocket Designs here for season number 9. A big thank you as well to our partners here at Pitstop TV. We've got some new ones for 2026. Whiplash Simcams, MXWraps.com, ATVO, Murtis Esports, CC's Business, and the North American Racing League. We will, as always, be doing a Driver of the Day vote today, but we will also have something new for this calendar year. That is the Murtis Mega Miss. Brought to you by Murtis Esports. So if we see a close call out there during the race tonight, we will keep our eyes out and we will log it in our brains and call attention to it, take a replay or two for today's Murtis Mega Miss. I think we might have a couple here in these first couple of laps at Red Bull Ring. This place gets kind of crazy kind of quick, so I would not be surprised to see a few out there today. That said, we are into the race session. Cars are gridding up. There you can see them past that DRS signboard on the front straightaway here in Austria. Let's take a look if I can find... The paddock straightaway, the front straightaway, does not agree too greatly with overhead blimps. That's okay. Let's take a look, though, at the ATVO starting grid for the first time here in season number 9. And on pole, Dino Filippa, from being race admin for seasons now, getting back behind the wheel in the North American Racing League. He will start race 1 from position 1 alongside Marcos Saavedra in car 25. Row number 2, Daniel Pastor in position number 3 alongside Juan Blanat. There'll be Nicholas Rubelar in position 5, Paulo Goday from 6th. The back 4 of the top 10 look like this: Daniel Antunes, Roman Pascucci, Eduardo Pecorini, and Martin Chico.
Right behind them, just outside the top 10, we're going to have Jackson Resende and Blas Diaz going to be starting 11th and 12th. Just behind them, Ralph Benitez and Manuel Scoli is going to be starting 13th and 14th. Now, Joel Moran will be starting 15th. Victor Miranda right beside him in 16th. Jesus Culinari will be starting 17th. David Schwartz will be 18th. Scott Reister and Zach Plummer, all of US of A, starting inside the top 20, 18th and 19th, 20th, respectively.
And of course, these guys are down into your Pro-Am field. The Pro-Am pole sitter tonight is Paulo Goday in 6th. Second in Pro-Am is Pecorini. Third is Martin Chico. I should have mentioned that in the top 10 earlier. Down in 21st, Hector Alvarez in car 170 alongside Diego Era. Then in row 12, it is going to be Fabio Zamperlini and Jose Correa. Back in row number 13, Jason Allen from SimCity Racing alongside Victor Veloso. That's a deep starting spot for a pro driver. And from 27th spot, how about Scott Kimbrough alongside Nico Wierzbicki, I believe, out of Poland. Position number 29 tonight, it'll be Nick De Paula in the 37 car alongside Sam Soyd. And here you see already Zach rolling through the top 30, where these guys are getting their tire warming on.
We already know how big it is to get the heat into these tires. That way you can get that good of a launch. But continuing on, in 31st, Miguel Colon, Edgar Ruiz will be 31st, 32nd. Ricardo Delgado and Adam Brockway, will be starting 33rd to 34th. Jacobs Stofko will be starting 35th. Angel Ledesma, will be starting 36th. Hikaru Piccolo will be starting at 37th. Josue Ramirez, Chris Winstone, Ramim Rateo, 38th, 39th, and 40th.
And back in 41st spot, how about Marcos Franco in the 59 car alongside Lucas Souza from Aerokinetics? It's Joshua Jaramillo in 43rd spot alongside Andy Ray Miller, a longtime driver of the series, in 44th. Bobby Flack, even longer time driver of the series, will start from 45th alongside Joaquin Melo. And the final few spots, Mike Braun, Teague Ashburn, Francesco Antonicelli, and Pedro Berger from the very back of the field. It looks like he's not gridded up, so he might be starting from the pit lane, but so far Pedro not on the grid. A quick look at your Whiplash SimCam's race details. This is a 20-minute sprint to get the night started. We will invert 8. That's just 8 between the 20-minute sprint and the 40-minute feature. Otherwise, this session format is the same as last season. So race 1, race 2, it's all the same. It's a 20-minute sprint, 40-minute feature, nothing too crazy. Exactly what we've come to expect now from the North American Racing League. We'll talk about everything else as this race gets going. Let's turn the music down and turn the engines up. Race number 1 in season number 9 of the North American Racing League is live. We are racing in Austria. Through turn 1, honestly, it looks nice and steady so far, and just as I say that, Zach, we got problems. Victor Veloso turned around. He might be the only one. Never mind. Francesco Antonicelli and more. That seems to be Teague Ashburn around. No, Mike Braun, rather, around at the first corner as well. The rest of the field at the top of the hill. Now, well, we got more problems.
I heard a little bit of a skid there for... I'm not for sure who it was, but I heard a skid coming up into Ramon, so I didn't get to see who it was, but we come back up front. The two teammates of Dino Filippo and Marcus Saavedra up here already slightly gapping the field with their third teammate right behind them, and Juan Blanett just kind of lingering behind them, behind Daniel Pastor and Nicholas Rubelar in between. So we see a little bit of team domination already, even though we're not even completed first lap of the new season. We do see a little bit of team domination towards the top.
We'll try to recap lap 1 in a moment. For now, let's just get through this lap and get back around to the start-finish line. Dino Filippo out front. It's a couple of Astons. Throw in a Ford, another Aston Martin, and then a couple of Ford Mustangs to wrap up your top 6 positions here. After 1 lap of racing, there they go by the start-finish line. We'll let the entire field cycle through. Let everybody complete a lap before we go back and look at what just happened into turn 1 and through the rest of this opening lap of season number 9. Boy, a tumultuous way to get started for several drivers as Fabio Zamperlini seems to be into the pit lane possibly. Never mind, that might be a Caro Piccolo alongside Roman Pascucci, who are both into the pit lane. There's a couple of stragglers in the back of the field. Let's go back. Let's see what happened. Lap 1, turn 1. And this is a little too far forward, so we'll go back a little bit further, properly into the quarter here. You know Scott Reister is tough on these guys with lap 1 incidents, so this is not going to be good.
See some 3 wide there towards the back. I don't think this is where the incident was. It was a little bit further back here. Just tagged, maybe looking in. It was a Porsche. Was that Andy Ray? I'm not for sure who that was. And we see another car come sliding in. That's Antonicelli. He tries to get off track, but the car trying to get around him was already off track trying to get around him. So really, it didn't really look like a lot of fault there, but I want to see what happened here coming into Niki Lauda curve.
Oh, that's just a big dive bomb out of both that Porsche and that Mustang. I'm not sure who that was, but that was just really late on braking. And turn 1, lap 1, especially race 1, that's just not a high percentage move. I think if you have a season or most of a season under your belt and can trust the guys around you, that's different. But first corner of a new league, I don't support this move especially from that Mustang. That was the 33 of Nico Rosbicki. That's just a little too aggressive, I think, for turn 1 of the season.
Yeah, still with a lot of racing to go with the car, with pretty much the entire grid right on top of each other, you're going to have plenty of opportunities. Obviously, Rosbicki probably thought there was an opportunity there, and I mean, he was to the inside of the Porsche, and I think both of them, maybe he didn't really see the car to the outside. That still is a really deep bomb going into one, so I'm thankful I'm not an admin after seeing all that. The admin's got to make the tough decision. We just got to call it.
And the other car majorly involved here was Francesco Antonelli. He was towards the back of the field as we chronicled there in qualifying. Here he is out of Italy in his Ford Mustang up the front straightaway. After this replay, we'll get back to live picture because a lot is going on, but this is a look back to what happened here on lap number 1, at least in turn 1. There was a little more up at the top of the hill, but we want to get back to live picture. Francesco just lost it and then backed up, as we saw, into Mike Braun. So back to live picture then. Dino Filippo leads, starting to close in already on some lap traffic, which is always at least somewhat problematic. That's going to be Blas Diaz, it looks like. Yes, it is, in car 55, and they will go by Paulo Goday. Oh, dearie me. Paulo already looking at going a lap down. It's only the sprint race of round 1, and they're both getting out of the way, playing nice. Those are teammates, affiliate teammates. I think Paulo and Blas are the Pro-Am versions of those teams, if you will. So they will hop out of the way of the leaders, although try to stay on the racetrack. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and this was one of the concerns that I had with having the 50-car field, with them being so strung out, having a mixture of Pro-Am and Pro. These pros are probably already found what they like, and they're going to be setting the world on fire, essentially, and they might catch up to the back end of these Pro-Am drivers. So with already seeing a little bit of what lap cars might throw into the mix, should these guys go fast enough? I don't think we're going to see it in the heat, but should we see it in the future, I think that's going to throw in a major wild card for some of these pro drivers.
I will say it is definitely interesting, piggybacking off of a comment from Richard Wolsifer out in the YouTube chat. Very interesting to see that the meta in GT3 racing lately has switched back to front-engine cars. I think we've gotten so used to the meta going to rear-engine cars. The Porsche was really good there for a while here on iRacing and in the real world, and when the Corvette came out, it seemed like that turned things upside down. But since... maybe not since the Corvette, because then we also had the Lamborghini in there at some point, but I don't know, just the last couple of years, adding the Mustang, adding the Aston Martin, they have become dominant cars, and there was a short time there where the McLaren was easily the car to go for, but now we have front engine at the front of the field, and it is very interesting to see, considering the last several years of GT3 racing on and off the sim. But look at how close these guys are at the front of the field, and we talk a lot in these races, Zach, about fuel saving. I don't think there's any of that right now. I think it's just all go and get everything you can here on this sprint race.
All go and get everything. You're not wrong there, Andrew, especially when you don't got to worry about fuel. You just got to go out there and set the world ablaze. And I mean, when it comes down to it, these guys are getting valuable information. Obviously, with no fuel worries that have to go through these guys' mind, they could really focus on their line, focus on the cars around them. Where are they losing? Where are they winning? So with them being able to go 90, 100%, whatever they choose, as you see the two leaders there dip their tires into the sand just a little bit. These guys are able to do just that, to test the limits, to see where the limits are, to push the boundaries, push the line. I mean, as drivers, they're going to do that regardless, but when you don't have any fuel worries, when you don't have any kind of fuel concern, you're able to do that. You're able to push 100% just to see what the car can give you. So this is valuable information for, I would say, every single person out on track.
Currently, the one driver kind of contesting these leaders right now is Daniel Pastor. On board with him now in the Ford Mustang GT3. Gotta say, I might prefer the sight of the Audi, the way, or not the Audi, the Aston Martin. I might prefer the way the Aston Martin looks, but man, something about this Mustang, the way it sounds, that is a sweet sound.
And I'm happy to see the Ford Mustang start to get into rotation for a lot more drivers. When you think of Ford, obviously you think of American manufacturing, but it usually just kind of sticks to American manufacturing. So to see the Ford start to make rounds, more so just to different drivers in different areas of the world, it's really cool to see them come popping up that way.
Switching back a little bit, how about our Pro-Am leader currently? That's going to be Eduardo Pecorini out of El Salvador. He has found himself at the front of the Pro-Am field. He did not start there. I believe that was Paolo, wasn't it, that started first in Pro-Am? But of course,
so yes, sir.
I think he had an issue in turn 2, or I guess 3 or 4, whatever it is, top of the hill there. I believe that was where he had his issue, and he fell back. Paolo is now 45th, 1 lap down, as Juan Blanat will go fastest that lap out of 4th position. But Eduardo currently leading here in Pro-Am. He's got a healthy gap. He's got 4 seconds back to 2nd place in class. And from 2nd place on back, it's a little more interesting in Pro-Am, I will say. You have Martin Chico here in car 189 out of Argentina. Then it's back to Jesus Culinary, and it's a long line of blue windshield banners from there. Maybe a pass being made. That's going to be Noel Moron on the inside. A little bit of contact.
A little bit deep of a dive going in there. Contact doors him out of the way just a little bit. Everything stays clean. All fenders stay intact. But that's also something to keep in mind. First race of the season. This is something that these guys are going to have to get used to. Racing around each other, learning the aggressiveness, learning what the people around you are going to be driving like. And right there, that's already a major ding towards these two drivers. Of all right, now I've got to be either a little bit more tentative or a little bit more aggressive around this one if that's how I'm going to be raced. So, especially in a heat race, maybe just a little bit of the wrong precedent to be set, but at the same time, all fenders stay on.
I want to take a moment to kind of hone in on one specific driver, more so for the paint scheme to the driver, but also because David Schwartz has been a big part of the series as of late. There is some racing up front. I don't want to delay too much, but this driver here, David Schwartz from Muradness, this is a really cool paint scheme from Muradness. First of all, we're going to see this, I believe, in all the Muradness cars this season and throughout 2026. This is a really cool update to those liveries, but also David, I believe, as a former champion, if I'm not mistaken, top 5 right now in Pro-Am. He's got some positions to work on right in front of him. He's right behind Jesus Culinary and more. And he's going to take a dive here, actually, and he backs out. That was, I think, smart for now. 9 minutes to go still. There's still some time on the clock, but our leaders are even starting to get a little bit antsy. We saw a move recently. Juan Blanat has gone by Daniel Pastor. That is for 3rd. So Blanat moves up with that recent fast lap, and it's now a trio of Aston Martins leading the way.
One of the things that I kind of want to bring into light is, yes, these guys are teammates, but they're also competitors. Maybe if they feel like they're being held up by one another, maybe they can move around a little bit. We saw Saavedra on the back end of Felipe there at the start of this race, falling off just a little bit, but Felipe has been able to pull away from Saavedra. One of the things that I was kind of concerned about was, is Felipe holding up Saavedra just a little bit? Is Saavedra got the faster car, but just because they're teammates, they don't really want to battle. They don't want to allow Pastor and Rubelar behind them in the Ford Mustangs to get a lead. But now you see Blanat jump into P3 with Pastor and Rubelar behind them with a very sizable gap all the way back. So still, with these guys working together as they are right now, I think it's obviously working. We'd right on board with Daniel Antunes here coming through the Niki Lauda curve. That's one of the main concerns for me. I love racing around teammates, and I love having teammates because there's a lot of info shared, but when you've got to race hard around teammates, you don't really want to hurt both your and their race, and you don't want to slow down any kind of forward progress that you have. So I guess that would be my main concern for the 5 teammates, 2 different teams up front right now. But so far, it looks like a lot of information's being passed around for those guys.
I definitely share your concerns. I don't like racing around teammates on road courses because it's just anything can happen, and it's really difficult to make sure you're on the same pace. You know, a big speedway is one thing, but here on a road course, it's a very different story. And for Daniel Antunes, he's got some left front damage. Hard to say for us exactly when he picked that up, but he will, of course, have the chance to reset that damage between this sprint race and the 40-minute feature coming up. Antunes, though, has lost this position to Jackson Rosende in recent laps, so he might be headed the wrong direction, but we're watching that gap currently between these two drivers as Rosende runs in 6th, Antunes in 7th, and they have Eduardo Pecorini, the Pro-Am leader, just behind in that 47 car. Rosende also becomes the top Mercedes in the field at the moment, which is cool to see, not only for the fact that, you know, it's a Mercedes up front, but this is also his return to the North American Racing League. It's been a little while since we've seen him go points racing here in NARL, and it's a pleasure to have him and many drivers back. Another driver I want to focus on in his first race back in the points is, here's a move on Resende, actually. That is right at Remus, and a crossover now. Resende gets it back on Antunes. I'll hold my thought, Zach. This is really good stuff now between these two.
Resende is going to have the preferred line coming into turn 4. He's going to be holding it just a little bit of defensive line driving. As we see Antunes now look to the outside. He's not going to be able to hold it, but going to stay right on his back bumper. That's going to bring Pecorini right up to this fight. One of the things that I did want to highlight, Andrew, now that we're almost under 5 minutes left in the heat, we did allude to it last season. It was the top 15 that gets inverted. This year, it's the top 8. And the 8th place car right now is a Pro-Am in Pecorini. So if Pecorini is able to hold that position, he will be starting P1 in the future. He does have a little bit of heat right behind him, so he's going to have to hold it as best as possible. But right now, Pecorini in the best spot possible. As far as a Pro-Am, obviously he's gapped the rest of the Pro-Am field by quite a bit, almost just over 4 seconds over Chico. So if he's able to nab that top spot as Blanett goes fastest, he goes purple again. So we got to keep that invert in mind with Pecorini being in that catbird seat to take P1 for the future.
And this kind of performance so far almost begs the question, can Eduardo get bumped up to pro? And it looks like he's going to lose this spot now to Victor Miranda, as Miranda will go by the 47 car, but you got to wonder maybe if he can get bumped up as we have a change for the race lead. Dino Filippa sits back now behind Marco Saavedra. They change hands, and around is Daniel Pastor. Oh my goodness, was that contact for teammates?
Both of the teammates were very, very slow coming up through Remus, so there's something that had to have happened there. Maybe one teammate, it looked like there could have been
check this out. Check this out. This is Pastor ahead, and the teammate behind, I believe, I'm actually not sure. I'm looking for a car number. I think it was Nicholas Rubilar, I think.
Yeah, I think it was Rubilar, and like we were talking about, Andrew, this was a concern just because of how close you are with the teammate. These are still competitors at the end of the day, but also teammates that have to share the same info, possibly even the same voice chat. So Rubilar here dives it in really deep, maybe.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know.
Wow.
I only say I don't know because Pastor back end looks like it stepped out a little bit, and maybe Rubilar helped finish him off just a little bit. I really don't know.
One more look coming for these two. This was 4th and 5th, by the way. I cannot believe this. For Drago Racing, this is a nightmare situation. Just a bump from Rubilar. Oh my goodness. 4th and 5th. You have 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, a whole team ahead of you. Wow. They are going to kick themselves for some time. And for Nicholas Rubilar, I don't personally understand. He pulled off and he towed back to the pit lane. I don't know why. I understand it's frustrating, but he's just thrown away the feature now too.
Well, it's also, like you said, the embarrassment of it, but we gotta look at the real aspect of it here. They're probably together in a voice chat. There's probably some might be some heated emotions going on in that voice chat, and he's, like you said, rather embarrassed to do so, and maybe he doesn't feel like he can continue on with the race with a clear mind because of it. Maybe just a reset for the future. But like you said, now with them with Rubilar going back to the pits, that throws away the feature. So I don't know. There could be a lot of things. It's very easy to jump to. It's very easy to. Big send there.
Miranda has a front row seat. That was Antunes, though, getting to the back bumper of Resende through turn 9. This could be really good, and this is now the battle for 4th and 5th. 6 seconds back of the Team SDR teammates at the front of the field on the podium for this sprint race. This promotes Eduardo Pecorini, by the way, up to 7th position overall as he leads in Pro-Am, which now puts Manuel Scoli in the invert position just ahead of Ralph Benitez. So this suddenly, Ralph Benitez before was probably in 11th, I think. No shot at the time of inverting to the front of the field. Now he's got the invert right in front of him with 1:41 to go.
I mean, this is why the invert is so cool to have in this, because it brings just such a such a wild mix into these races. It gives you something to still drive for, even if you're not towards the front. Obviously, you want positions, you want points, but it still gives you a little bit more to drive for in the heat. That way, you don't really just lax. That way, you don't really just kind of log laps, so to say. It still gives you that little extra oomph to go out and get something. So with that invert being right in front of him, now it's just up to him to how aggressive he wants to drive. But yeah, we see right here with Rubelar, he's still on the back end. He just hasn't been able to make that pass. We've seen him get a little aggressive, now coming to under a minute. This is going to be the final lap. Big miss. Did he have to come down? Who was that just came down pit? Was that
I'm
pit? Or?
actually not sure, but we have taken the white flag now, brought to you by Whiplash Simcams. I'm looking through who is in the pit lane. Oh, it was Resende. I was looking at timing and scoring for a moment, and I missed this. This is an incident penalty, it looks like, for Resende.
It does. You know what? That was one of the things that I was going to mention, too. These guys have 15 X's to play with. And that's one of the things that I wanted alluded to. We just never really got to in the pre-race. We got
right behind him, Diego Ero. Oh my gosh! Out of Argentina, rather. Diego. I was mixing the name of the country for a moment, but regardless, Diego with a problem there in turn one. But it's white flag now for the top three from SDR, leading their way around this racetrack, and I think it's just a matter of deciding who's going to win this thing between these three, and it seems like it might be Dino Filippa over Marco Saavedra and Juan Blanat. They've got plenty of time. I mean, 7 seconds back to Daniel Antunes, and it is a battle now between these two. Antunes over Victor Miranda, Eduardo Pecorini just behind, and then with removing Jackson Resende from the situation, Ralph Benitez is now in the invert spots. We'll see if he goes for that spot ahead. But here we go, out of the final quarter and to the start-finish line for the sprint race in round one of the North American Racing League for Season 9. Dino Filippa to the checkered flag first. He will win this sprint race over everybody else in this largely contested field. And Eduardo Pecorini will get to the finish line first in Pro-Am Division. And here comes the rest of the field. We'll just watch from the speed shot as they come down out of turn number 10. Some great battles to the line. Unfortunately, we don't really get a chance to go through the entire results. Heat race formats do not give us much time. Basically, as soon as all cars finish across the line, it just sends us into the race session. So we won't get a chance to go over the full results here in the heat, or I guess the sprint race, but we will try and do so. We will certainly do so after the feature in a little while. Mike Braun comes across 41st, Bobby Flack in 42nd. Joaquin Melo, Nicholas Rubelar, and Victor Veloso do not make it to the stripe to finish this sprint race. So into the feature session now. These guys will get a 5-minute warm-up to kind of debrief, and Zach, I think they need it.
Yeah, after that one, I was going to mention they're coming to the line. You saw just the grouping of cars, so there is battling regardless of I-rating, regardless of skill level. There's battling regardless all throughout the track, but with 50 cars out there, it's really difficult to keep up with every single battle, so we apologize if we missed anything major in a teammates race, in a friends race, in your race. If you come back to watch this, we apologize for missing that in the heat. But yeah, with how close everybody was through that heat race, man, it just goes to show the ability that these guys have and the carnage that can come out of it. So I'm really looking forward to the future now with them being flipped upside down, the top 8 being flipped from 1st to 8th. I'm really excited to see how this is going to turn out.
Let's take a look at this season's schedule. We've not even done that just yet. We got right into the program earlier, and here it is. So we are at Red Bull Ring, of course, this evening, and we will be again next week for the amateur drivers, but this is the pro schedule. And the pro and am schedules do not differ in anything aside from dates. Otherwise, it's the same tracks, just offset weeks. Same format and everything. So this is the North American Racing League schedule for season number 9. Austria here this evening at Red Bull Ring. We will go to Spa next up on January 29th. And then it'll be to Indianapolis and to Mexico for the February rounds. Those will be a lot of fun. I think those are two really cool racetracks. Definitely a little bit quirky. I really like Mexico, though. I think that's a fantastic racetrack, and I'm very excited that it's on iRacing finally, and we'll be able to properly feature it here very, very soon. We also will go to Watkins Glen here in season number 9, or otherwise known as New York. Suzuka for April the 9th, and then April the 23rd, we'll be going to VIR, Virginia International Raceway. And Zach, you and I have been there so many times now. That is a really cool racetrack. I know you and I appreciate it more than most, I think, but I think it's a really cool place to add on to the schedule. It's always fun in the North American Racing League, and of course, Road America. There we go. Road America to cap things off. I'm getting so far ahead of myself. I'm just so hyped up for this season, Zach. I mean, 8 really great racetracks. Once again, we're hitting some that we haven't hit in a while, especially in Spa. We've not been to Spa in some time. We have now the updated Spa to finally go race at. That's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I like how hats off to Scott Reister for putting this whole thing together for the schedule. And it seems like he follows a little bit of a theme. Last season, if you remember, Andrew, we had a couple of street courses on the schedule. We had Chicago, we had the Charlotte Roval, and I believe we had one more that slips my mind at the time. But here we see a lot of F1 type of tracks: Austria, Spa, Mexico. I believe Suzuka was also on the schedule at one point. I don't know if it's been recent since, but you see a lot of F1 tracks in there, but you see also a little bit of mixture in there as well with Indy, Watkins Glen in New York, Virginia, and Road America. I just think that the themes behind the season has been fantastic. But if I got to circle one race, Andrew, you alluded to it. It's got to be VIR. We've been there. We've watched many races. I've been lucky enough to turn some laps at Virginia during race events. So that's one track that I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how these guys take on.
This is, of course, what we have upcoming for the entire season of the North American Racing League here in season number 9. But for us, a little more closely coming up, we have a mix of oval racing, actually, the next 3 broadcasts here on the channel that are currently scheduled at the very least. Later tonight, actually, right after this broadcast, we will go straight into coverage for the Sim Auto Racing Association at Caffeine and Octane Linear Raceway. We got super late models on track at a 3/8 mile oval. That's a lot of fun. Lanier is a really cool racetrack as well, and certainly for short track ovals, that's going to be a fun one. I think if you've ever tried oval racing on iRacing, you've probably cut some laps at Lanier with street stocks or something, even Legends. So I think that might be one that even some of you road guys might recognize just a little bit. Maybe you want to tune into that one as well after this broadcast. But then Saturday we have the 3rd annual Carroll Kenneth Carden Memorial Race, 200 laps at Myrtle Beach Speedway on January the 10th. And then January the 13th, next week, we kick off a new week of racing with the BRB Sundance Pro Series at Kentucky Speedway. Warm-up is wrapping up. The one driver, by the way, to turn a lap in this warm-up session, you might not believe it. The driver that pulled off after making some contact with his teammate, it's going to be Nicholas Rubelar, the one driver to turn a full lap in that warm-up session. So if you can believe it or not, he is the one driver to go out there for any running in those few minutes. We are into the race session. One thing I want to look at quickly, weather conditions, brought to you by MX Wraps. They've not really changed. But I wanted to at least check this out because we saw that bit of racing. Maybe the track took some heat, but it seems pretty much the same, Zach, as we roll into our starting grid for this feature event. Let's take a look at it. On pole through the invert, Martin Chico in car number 189 alongside Ralph Benitez, and row number 2 will give us Manuel Scoli and Eduardo Pecorini. So a couple of Pro-Ams in the top 2 rows. Victor Miranda, Juan Blanat in row number 3, back to Marco Saavedra and Dino Filippa in row number 4. Finally, to complete your top 10, Noel Maron and David Schwartz, a Pro-Am driver, a couple of Pro-Am drivers there in the 5th row.
You see a little bit of jumps from the grid from heat all the way up to the gridding for the feature. So these guys were definitely able to get a little bit of an understanding. Those being Jesus Culinari and Zach Plummer started 17th and 18th for the grid in Heat 1, now 11th and 12th. 13th and 14th behind them, Daniel Pastor and Hector Alvarez will be starting there. Behind them, Scott Reister in 15th. Jackson Resende will be starting behind him in 16th. A little bit of mix of Pro-Am and Pro in this. Miguel Colon and Nick De Paula will be starting 17th and 18th. 19th and 20th will be Jose Correa and Jacob Stofko, 19th and 20th.
Back in row number 11, Angel Ledesma, a Pro-Am driver alongside another Pro-Am in Diego Era in the 177. Then it's Ricardo Delgado and Scott Kimbrough, a couple of veterans here in the series, along just ahead of Sam Soyd and Lucas Souza, who've also been around for some time. A little further back, Jason Allen and Andy Ray Miller. They've each done plenty of races here in the North American Racing League, just ahead of Joshua Jaramillo and Romain Rateau. A couple of new names back here in row 15.
Josue Ramirez and Teague Ashburn will be just behind the 30th position, 31st and 32nd. Chris Winstone and Daniel Antunes will be starting 33rd and 34th. Good to see Chris Winstone back. We called his name a lot last season, so hopefully we see him pop up a little bit. 35th, Roman Pascucci and Edgar Ruiz will be starting 35th, 36th. Adam Brockway, Marcos Franco will be starting 37th, 38th. And rounding out your top 40 will be Caro Piccolo, and Mike Braun will be starting 39th and 40th.
In position 41, it's Bobby Flack in the 88 car ahead of Nico Rosbicki. He was sent to the back of the field, it seems, at the end of that first race. Paolo Garay back here in 43rd, Bastias in 44th, Fabio Zamperlini 45th, ahead of Francesco Antonicelli, Joaquin Melo alongside Nicolas Rubilar, and then Victor Veloso alongside Pedro Berger. And the driver I wanted to focus on earlier that we just didn't get a chance to, it's unfortunate he's starting down the order here in the feature race, but it is Fabio Zamperlini, one of the original drivers of the North American Racing League. He has been here he took a few seasons off, but it's good to see him back and in a Lamborghini once again. Bright gold Lamborghini, that's reflective, that's hard to miss for Duck Hawk Racing out of Brazil. He's one of the classic drivers, I feel like, of this series that was away for a little while and is back here this season. Here we go, the front of the field already to the restart zone. Out of turn number 10 and down the front stretch, we are racing here in Austria for the feature now. Whoa, hello, 3 wide. That was Juan Blaina, I think, with a stab to the inside. That was really, really sketchy.
They're able to get out of it A-OK, but you see there, Blainat went to the inside, look at 3 wide to gain 2 positions, gain none, now holding up his teammates, looking to the inside of, I believe that's Pecorini right in front of him. Yep, looking to the right side going into turn 4. He's going to have the preferred line, but Pecorini's going to be able to hold just a little bit.
Of course, 40 minutes here in this feature race. Some moves back here, some blocking even. Daniel Pastor holding a lot of different cars at bay. Hector Alvarez, Jackson Rosende, Nick DePaula, and many more, as there might be some contact back here. 3 wide in spots in the middle of the field, towards the back end of the field even. These guys are getting really, really racy, as it will be Martin Chico out ahead of everybody here on lap number 1.
And he's been able to pull a very, very large gap over that of Ralph Benitez, over pretty much everyone, really. So this is really refreshing to see. Now we're going to have to see how the guys that were up front in the heat, the likes of, excuse me, Blainat, Saavedra, Felipe, how they're able to get around these cars. They didn't really have anybody to race around in the heat race, just with each other. Now they're going to have to get around 6 or 7 cars. So this is going to be interesting to watch here, Andrew, as this 40 minutes starts to dwindle down already. We're almost underneath 2 minutes. Or, excuse me, 2 minutes elapsed, I should say.
Watching everyone file by some of these cameras here stationed around the racetrack. Switch for second, Victor Miranda ahead of Ralph Benitez. And they might be wise to keep doing that, actually, on these straightaways. Keep swapping spots, leapfrog as we call it in oval draft racing. Boy, that's a really cool angle there into Remus, and then here on exit, it gets a little crazier even. Here's the braking zone into turn number 4, and this can be really, really sketchy, especially if you're racing somebody, try to make a move. This is a really scary braking zone. You come over a crest, and suddenly you're facing downhill, and you can see it's throwing these guys a little sideways.
Yeah, I mean, with the speed that you're carrying in turn 4, as we talk about sideways, we see one car, he's going to rejoin back on track after all the cars have escaped. Back up here to Ralph Benitez.
Well, it was Jose Ramirez I was trying to get a hold on. That was a driver out of Puerto Rico, turned around in turn 4. And Teague Ashburn now in trouble. The Mustang driver. Oh, he's got a lot of right front damage, too.
Looks like from the tracks, he took a little bit of an excursion down the grass there, so maybe something to watch here, and then another one.
So let's go back. We saw car 75 in trouble. Check out some of this mid-race action. So lap 1 was calm here in the feature, but lap 2 not so much. This is the 75 Jose Ramirez in the back end of a Porsche into turn 4, and that just, oh man, he got wiped out by Andy Ray Miller. Wiped out by the 9 car.
Yeah, a little bit of bullying there that happened on Jose Ramirez, and it's really bad to see because I mean, he really did nothing wrong there. He's just to the outside, got pushed out a little bit, went a little wide, and then, yeah, Andy Ray Miller just with the deep bomb. Flag handed down from the steward. Oh, this is what happened to Ashburn here to get the damage on the right side. Took that excursion through the grass, not able to hit anybody else. Everybody stays clean. Then we see the big slide here.
That was a lot of stuff going on all at once. So this is as the 75 of Ramirez was spun around. They go on by. Let's see this actually really quick again for Ashburn. Maybe a better angle kind of overhead. Oh, some big moves right behind as well. What happens here? Oh, I see. Okay. That car ahead got out into the curbing and just lost handle. And then that same car then got hit some more. And that's what sparked everything at the bottom of the hill.
Coming back up, that car's really, really loaded and maybe just a little bit off camber, just a little bit. So these cars are already iffy, especially if you're already out of sorts.
That was Marcos Franco.
Yeah, Marcos Franco here loses it just a little bit, recollects the car somewhat. Not in line. Car steps out on him again, and that's what started it.
And Zamperlini had nowhere to go. Straight into Franco and many others involved. Trying to go left, trying to go right, and miss all of that. Fabio Zamperlini, let's get a replay with him. He was minding his own business back here. First real good on board with a Lamborghini in a while. And unfortunately, it's going to be a crash. Oh.
Looks like he just a foot away from just being absolutely perfect. I don't think he did anything wrong there. A foot away, just a little bit more to the left, and he would have been fine. But yeah, Zamperlini there going for that big slide. It doesn't look like it's hindering him too much. He's back out on track, so that's good to see. I did want to specify, though, Andrew, we were talking about Andy Ray Miller. He was handed a black flag from the NARL stewards because of that move. He has since disconnected from the session, so his night is done.
That's interesting. He might not like the call, but I think that's a pretty fair call, honestly, as the 30 car has got problems. Oh boy, Ricardo Delgado. Oh dear, he's got no rear wing left. What has happened here? He's trying to get back to the pit lane. Oh boy, that's a lot of damage.
This is also one of the things that I wanted to highlight now that we're into the feature. It's very, very difficult to get on this pit lane just because of how much speed you're carrying through those final corners. Pit lane comes up really quick just before the final corner. Delgado there, able to get down without a wing, but like I said, just with the speed that you've got to carry through those corners, any kind of stoppage that you have to take there to get into pit road really may be a hindrance to you, and a guy around Delgado there gets passed up at the bottom of the hill coming back up. And this is about where we first saw him without the wing.
He'll be right here to turn 9. He's trying to trying to make a pass. Don't tell me that was Franco again.
I think so. It looked like him.
I think it might have been. I'm trying to find Franco on my timing sheet. I guess I can do it this way. No, this is actually his teammate, Culinary. One of the other Argentinian cars. So we gotta go back and see what happened there around kind of the middle portion of the racetrack. That will, I think, tell more of the story. He's racing with a Mercedes ahead. Looks to the inside, kind of gets shut down, slides, catches it, and then gets passed up. There goes Scott Kimbrough. Here comes the 23 of Roman Pascucci, and then here comes Ricardo Delgado, and there just wasn't enough room for them both. I don't know which driver I would put that one on.
As far as the NARL stewards are concerned, they put that one on the Jesus Culinary, so they have deemed him at fault for that incident. He has been black flagged for this race, so they have deemed him at fault.
Side by side now, Diego Era and Angel Ledesma. Diego in that McLaren on driver's right. The Lamborghini belongs to Ledesma on driver's left, with Roman Pascucci just behind, and he's trying to get through this. He will now get by Diego. Says goodbye to that McLaren. And that is now for 21st position. So these drivers will need to make a pit stop as Ledesma goes off and loses those spots. That makes it easy for Pascucci to get by, and now Ledesma is actually pulling off. He's crashed. He's spun around.
In a very, very fast part of the track, too. He needs to either get off quickly or he needs to reverse. That's a very, very fast part of the track.
He's got a lot of damage, maybe? Maybe not as much as I thought. There were definitely some Murtis mega misses in there, Zach. Let's take a look back. Right there, apex, a little bit of contact, gets turned around, and then look at this. Down the hill, here comes everybody trying to go by. This is just going to be collective Murtis mega miss to all these cars. Let's see that from his driver's eye POV. Watch this. He was trying to get down out of the way. Good to see 2Pi Racing Team actually in the field. That's who he's racing for this season. Spun around and then parked, and oh my gosh, that's... Oh, I don't like that at all.
Seeing those cars come flying at you, man. He put a couple indents in that steering wheel just because of how tight he was clinging onto that. That is close.
And for the race lead overall, Martin Chico has finally been run down by the pros. Victor Miranda on his back bumper. And, you know, we talked a little bit about fuel saving there in the sprint race and how we wouldn't be talking about it actually in that sprint race. Here we are in the feature now, 40 minutes of racing. These drivers will be making a pit stop. I don't think we're going to see Victor Miranda go for the lead. This is a freebie for him to sit behind a Pro-Am and save.
It also just depends, too, because he's got Blanett right behind him as well, so he obviously wants to keep that position, P2, be able to just kind of sit back, fuel save a little bit. But if Blanett starts to get racy, what do? Do you race him? Do you just kind of let him go? In my opinion, I just kind of let him go. If he feels like he's got the better car, he wants a better position, just let him go. But these guys are right on top of each other. And one of the things that I did kind of want to highlight as well, with Chico being out in front, Pecorini now 4 seconds behind him. Pecorini started inside the top 4 with Chico. That just goes to show how much racing around somebody may affect your race. You want to obviously try to get around them as quickly as possible. So because of that, Pecorini has fallen off 4 seconds from the Chico lead, the Pro-Am lead, obviously the overall lead as of right now. So that's going to be something to keep your eye on. As now Saavedra here, maybe just a little bit of a bump, maybe saying, "Hey, I'm here. Look out for a move here in the coming future," but right on the back bumper.
And this is right behind Manuel Scully. So Scully is the Mustang. Saavedra is the first of these two Aston Martins, and Dino Filippo the second of these two Aston Martins. Dino has not made much ground up since the start of the race. Remember, he started 8th as a result of the invert. since he won the sprint race. He got inverted to 8th in the start. He has not made much ground, just that one position so far. But again, I think on the subject of fuel saving, I think these guys are going to show their cards very soon. As actually Miranda goes by Martin Chico for the race lead, and Chico now trying to fight back. We'll get the draft from Miranda here to turn 4. Blanat on the right side, not going to give up. Blanat dives in turn 4, sends it big time, and clears that Mercedes by the corner.
Chico, they're very smart to try to look for the crossover, but even if the crossover doesn't work, he's got clean track around him to maneuver, so that was a very, very smart move there to let Blanat go. Blanat was right on his right rear. Any kind of netcode would have happened, and that could have been catastrophe, so very, very close driving behind these guys. You see Victor Miranda here, the move that he made coming into 3, into Ramon, he will be able to take that position from it, and that opened the door right up for, Blanat.
Out of turn number 10, down the front stretch. Sounds like there might be a driver in the pit lane, actually, or something. Yes, actually, Brockway has just pitted. It seems like it may have been out of necessity rather than desire, as he comes out just ahead of the field. I'm not really sure. It shows 50 seconds in the box. That feels a bit long for just one of these pit stops that we'll see this season. It should be a lot more cut and dry as the leaders are getting after it right behind. Oh my gosh, hello. Trying to switch to the right car. There's 50 of them to scroll through. Juan Blanat, though. Boy, these guys are setting up for Remus to be the passing corner.
They really are. You got that long straightaway back up the hill, so you're going to have the draft there to help kind of guide you into that corner, whether you decide you have a run or not. And if you're the lead car, if you're the one punching the biggest hole in the air going back up the hill, you're going to have a little bit of a loss of speed. Maybe not a loss of speed, but just difficult to punch the air, the hole through the air. So these guys taking advantage of it. As you see here, Adam Brockway, he's able to get off, let these lead cars pass. The stewards gave him the blue flag, and he's taking the safest route possible to make sure these guys are able to get around him.
This is our location lower third, and in fact the location should be changed to the middle of nowhere with how far off the racetrack he just went. Parts unknown, perhaps. I mean, he was out in no man's land.
And he found his way back, so hey, man. he trooped his own trail.
Battle here now between Jacob Stofko, Nick DePaula, and Roman Pascucci. Roman gonna go by on the inside now, up the front straightaway into turn number 1. And he will clear ahead of Nick DePaula into turn number 1. So pass made for that pro as he brings up the top 10 of the pro division. We've seen turn 4 be the action corner lately, turn 3 rather. Remus right there, not so much, as the leaders will stay in the same formation this time around. Pit stops, I don't recall the exact lap or I guess the exact moment that ended up being most common last season, but I know it's going to be within the next 10 to 15 minutes that we see these guys kind of all hit the pit lane all at once.
Yeah, I believe it was within, 20 minutes down to maybe 15 was kind of the ideal mark for some of these guys up towards the front. If I'm the guys in the back, maybe if you're not feeling any kind of momentum in your car, maybe if you don't feel like you can make up any positions, maybe coming down pit road a little early. Granted, you're going to have to take a lot more fuel, but you get out and clean track, excuse me, you're going to be able to set down quicker laps, not race around somebody else. So there is still strategy to be had here, even though a lot of people like to pit within a 5 to 10 minute window gap. There's still a lot of strategy to be had here as Blanat now starting to pull away from Miranda. If Miranda was going to sit behind him to save, he needs to stick up just a little bit more with Blanat, or else he's going to be punching another hole in the air. That's going to set up an opportunity for Chico to get back up on him.
Meanwhile, battle at the back end of the top 10, just about. This for 8th and 9th on the racetrack currently. A duel between Scully and Rosende. Rosende will win that battle. Scully will fall back. And that keeps things nice and cut and dry there into turn number 3, otherwise known as Remus, at the top end of the circuit.
I think I can appreciate really smart racing. You saw Ramis there. He didn't really battle. He saw the faster car behind him start to pull up. He just kind of let the car go. He obviously didn't feel like he had the car to battle. Instead of putting his car in harm's way, he lets him go, retakes the position just behind. As we now see Diaz, he's going to take his quick repair coming down pit road. He had no front bumper, so he's going to be taking his repair. Ledesma now coming out of pit road as well. It looks like it was a scheduled stop for him. Ashburn coming down pit road, so it looks like the pit windows opening just a little bit, especially for some of these guys a little bit further towards the back. Ashburn now in his box. Diaz coming out of pit road here. He's going to be having a decent amount of clear track should he be able to keep pace in front of the leaders. Well, I say that as he's going to have some cars around him, but not a lot. So this is one of the strategy calls that I was talking about, Andrew. Having no cars around you where you can run your own line, have your own kind of pace where you don't really got to worry about anyone. That's going to be the fastest. As speaking of fastest, Saavedra is going to be taking it. Pastor takes it.
A big reason we're seeing some of these guys pit early is they've got damage. They want to get in earlier and run a little bit longer on higher fuel load, but then not have the damage slowing them down. So they might have slightly more fuel weighing them down a little bit. Maybe they can take a little bit less in their stop and try to save, but they're trying to have a better car mechanically for a little bit longer as opposed to having less fuel for a little bit longer. So there's a pass right behind here. Daniel Antunes goes by Miguel Colon. That is for 13th overall. And a big distinction we must make, again, this season, is that these drivers in the Pro and Pro-Am races, so here tonight and again in 3 weeks at Spa and so on for the Pro Division, they are scored all together for the sprint and the feature. So it's not split scoring as far as how they score their points. But the championship breakdown does split them into classes, but they are scored on the racetrack as one class. So we break them down into classes for the sake of, separating Pro and Pro-Am, but realistically, Zach, they kind of are one class out there.
Yeah, and I think too that brings a little bit more of a heightened not aggression, but just an understanding, so to say. Like the Pro-Ams, they don't really got to be battling with themselves. They got to battle with the cars around them. The difference between a championship can be 1 point, and that 1 point could be right here at the beginning of the season. Should you decide to charge somebody, lay over for somebody, that 1 point or however many points in between positions there are, that could be the difference between life and death. So these guys here, they're still racing for a lot, and I think that brings that extra element in for these guys to not really lay back, to give it their all-in drive.
On board with Marco Saavedra, he sits in 4th in class currently. He is behind Martin Chico, who leads in Pro-Am. And, we talked about Pecorini walking away with the Pro-Am win in the sprint race. I think unless there's a large mistake here out of Martin Chico, it's going to be a very similar story for Martin. He is so far ahead of Eduardo right now, 5 seconds or so. And that doesn't sound like a lot, maybe 5 seconds. And truly, it could be closed up pretty quickly. But there are 5 pro drivers between them. And I think realistically, Eduardo could maybe go up and get one of them. I don't think he's going to pass 5 pro drivers. The I rating on those drivers ahead of him, let's see. He's got 6,100. There's an 8,000, a 9,000, a 10,000, a 9,000 ahead of him, as Victor Miranda may have just dropped out of this race. He is still dropping down the order. Car 53 is gone. You'll have to let us know when he fully throughputs here, Zach, but
this is one of the things that we kind of harped on it last season, and it's already kind of rearing its ugly head at the beginning part of this season. This is one of the things that us iRacers got to keep an eye on. You go through an actual season and actual cars with the possibility of engine failure, ECU failure, anything that could disconnect the car from the track in your race. Well, here we've got internet that could disconnect you, computer dysfunction that could disconnect you. So there's a lot of things that you've got to keep an eye out. And there it is. Victor Miranda has dropped due to an upload packet loss. So yeah, Victor Miranda is now out of the session as of right now. I don't know if he'll rejoin to try to salvage any kind of position that he can, but as of right now, he's completely throughputed through the session.
And there he went. That was the replay up until he dropped from the iRacing session, and he is gone for now, and we'll see if he's able to reconnect. Of course, you know, being a worldwide league like this, I know it's the North American Racing League by name, but certainly not by trade. We're used to having at least a good, healthy mix of South Americans as well as Central Americans, and you know, we have drivers out of Puerto Rico, which I guess counts as North America. We have drivers, though, sometimes from Australia. We've had plenty of Australians in the past. We have Sam Swid, for example, from the UK. We have some drivers out of Poland this season. I think 1 or 2 out of Germany. So we're used to having a healthy mix. That also means that many more different connections across the world are being used in these sessions. And, you know, I know there's only 50 here this evening, but consider that times 1,000 leagues or whatever that are running on any given night. I mean, it's a lot that gets put on the iRacing servers. I'm surprised they hold on as nicely as they do. But then you have to account for your home ISP servers and whatnot. And who knows? It could have been a power outage as well. It could have been any number of things for Victor Miranda, as we've seen in the past. We are getting closer, though, to the back end of this pit window. It has certainly been open for some time. You know, the fuel ideally gets these guys at least to halfway, and there's some shaking now from Dino, rather from Marcos. Marcos Saavedra, could he be pitting here?
It looked like that was a signal. Yes, sir, he is. He's coming down pit road. He's going to be the first of really the top 10 that's going to be able to break the seal open. He's going to be followed here coming into pit road. But yeah, here we go. The top 10 now starting to break open that window coming down pit road. Marcos Saavedra is going to be the first of said drivers to come down. Now we're going to see where he pops out in relative to these guys. He's going to angle himself to give himself a good angle to get out of pit road, to gain some speed, maybe gain a little bit of time. Any time is good time that you can gain. So Saavedra here trying to set himself up for the end of this race. As we see more people coming down, Zach Plummer in the Pro-Am, he's going to come down, make his stop. He's got some cars behind him. Saavedra still on pit road. Very long box time for Saavedra.
Whereas Becky is in, Plummer's in, Jaramillo's in. A lot of drivers missing their boxes here in the first round of the season. Saavedra still in the box. Resende has gone. Resende only took 14.82 seconds. Yeah, Saavedra, I think, picked up a penalty. This is going to be catastrophic for him. This round is basically going to be a wash and one of his drops now for the season.
And to have that drop immediately gone off the first race of the season, now you've got to be on point for the rest of the season. Saavedra now exiting his box. As we look back up here to Chico, looks like he hasn't come down pit road just yet. Here come more of the top 10 drivers.
Race leader, Juan Blainat.
Here comes Blainat. Yep, Blainat coming down pit road.
It looks like Ralph Benitez will continue on, perhaps. No, actually, Martin Chico will continue on. He's the Pro-Am driver up at the front. He does not pit this lap, so he's got the overall race lead once again. He continues on as all of the other leaders pit this lap. Oh, my.
And with Chico staying out, I saw Pecorini's time start to drop extensively. So Pecorini has come in to make his stop. That's going to make that race a lot closer. So now with everybody starting to have that different kind of strategy, now this is where it gets mixed and this is where it gets fun. The last 15 minutes are hectic just because of the fuel strategies.
Juan Blainat back onto the racetrack, 12.28 seconds. That's pretty sporty. Dino Filippa, though, a little better in the pit lane, 11.38. He gets out ahead of Ralph Benitez and Daniel Pastor with a 13.18. Jackson Resende, 14.82. Eduardo Pecorini, 13.45 seconds in the pit lane, rather in the box. Martin Chico, let's see what he can do when he comes back around. He, along with Scott Reister and Jose Correa, have all stayed out, along with Paulo Goday as well. So a handful of drivers that have saved their stuff. Here's Scott Reister. Good to see him for the first time this season. Haven't really said his name much other than on the grid, and of course he's the man who makes all this happen in the North American Racing League, and we certainly appreciate his efforts doing so as we open up another brand new season here in season number 9. I can't believe it's been this long. Feels like just yesterday he called me up for season 1 to make this happen, and here we are 9 seasons later. That's not even counting all of the Porsche Cup seasons. But boy, it's going to be back here. So Martin Chico has pitted. Scott Reister is in. There's Jose Correa as well in his Lamborghini. And Paulo Goday will also hit the pit lane in his Aston Martin. That puts the race back in the hands of Juan Blanat. And let's see where things are going to shake out to. There is Juan, headed up the hill. And oh boy, Martin Chico. Oh, Zach, this could be big.
Yeah, I was looking at that too. He's still in his box. This is probably a penalty for Chico. He's still in his box. 32 seconds. So, yeah, there's definitely a penalty on the head of the 189.
Oh,
this
my
is
goodness.
huge. Pecorini will take over the Pro-Am lead, but Chico, really, really big. That's huge for this race.
Hearing unsafe pit entry potentially for that driver. And yeah, you've got to be careful. Let's look at the pit entry, actually. I wasn't sure if there would be penalties for this, but you can see some tire tracks there into the grass. If you go outside of those white lines, that can be an unsafe pit entry, and that can put you in the pit lane for a little bit longer. It's hard to imagine speeding penalties in these cars, right, because of the pit limiter, but you certainly could push the issue, I guess, on that first timing zone entering the pit lane, and that could do it. But it sounds like maybe unsafe pit entry is getting these guys here at Red Bull Ring today. Battle for second popping up. Ralph Benitez with pressure here on Dino Filippa. This is for second place ahead of Daniel Pastor. And there are battles sparking up throughout Pro-Am, but this is the ranking battle currently, highest up on the order.
You see there, Filippa is able to get a really good launch out of the final corner coming into the Nicolado curve right here. Still able to carry a lot of momentum here. Benitez with that front engine AMG, like you alluded to earlier, a lot of guys deciding to go with that front engine. Me personally, I kind of like the front engine. It has that little bit of sway in the back end. That way you can kind of manipulate the car, manipulate your line. So it's really cool to see a lot of these guys, as we here at Pit Stop TV are very thankful for who puts it together for us and everything in NARL. Andrew, if you want to go through that.
As always, a big thank you goes out to Moradness. Daniel Morad and company do so much here for us at the North American Racing League. A big thank you as well to JS Consulting, Screw Compressor Service, and Rocket Designs. We can take a look here at some lap times throughout the field. So let's go ahead, let's compare the top two from each class. So let's grab Juan Blanat in this, and I'm grabbing everybody in my lap time comparison widget. And so we'll grab Juan Blanat, we'll grab Dino Filippa currently, and then the leaders of Pro-Am. And this is where things might get a little more interesting. We actually have a race for Pro-Am, I feel like, with Eduardo Pecorini and now the 170 of Hector Alvarez. This could be a bit more interesting than we initially imagined. So this is a look at some top lap times on the racetrack. And let's see, Juan currently lapping, his best is a 127.8, but last lap for him a 128.02. That's just a little bit slower than Dino Filippa, but then down in Pro-Am you can see Hector Alvarez is also a little bit faster than the leader there. That would be Eduardo Pecorini. So it seems like we could have more of a battle in Pro-Am maybe developing, but we've got to keep an eye on Dino as this run goes on. And to be fair, Juan is getting some lap traffic, maybe that's holding him back a little bit, but it's interesting. Both leaders right now a little slower than second place.
Rather interesting, like you said, maybe just a little bit of lap traffic there, but I mean, you see the battle right here between the two of Eduardo Pecorini and Hector Alvarez, with Alvarez being a 10th quicker than Eduardo Pecorini, almost 2/10 quicker than Pecorini. So Pecorini was waiting for his time to shine when it came to the feature. He's finally grabbed the lead of Pro-Am. Now Alvarez wanting to take it over. Now, one of the things that we've been seeing a lot, Andrew, we've been seeing a lot of guys have to come down pit road because of X limits. This race is not done. There's still 8 minutes left, so any X limit that these guys may be pushing are still being put to the test here. Now, this is where a part of the race where you've got to be on point with your lines. You've got to be on point with your throttle brake inputs. There's a lot of things that could happen here, so these guys have really got to be on. As you see, Alvarez there go a little wide. I'm not for sure if that's an X there. A lot of people have been using that little bit of extra track, so to say, coming out of the final corner. So these guys are pushing the limits, and any slight limit push may be resulting in an X, which could be catastrophic for your race.
we could certainly see some incident penalties very, very soon in these final 8 minutes of racing here at the Red Bull Ring. And this is a track that it's somewhat forgiving, but also can be a little unforgiving with those incidents. Problems for one driver that we love talking about, and he's just always been a great sport, and unfortunately it seems like he has found some kind of issue here late in this race. Chris Winstone has towed back to the pit lane, indicating to me that he's experienced some kind of crash, and yeah, spins around there out of turn 1, just gets frustrated, I think, and tows maybe? No, he tries to get back going. That's where he tows.
Yeah. And we called his name a lot last season, Chris Winstone. He was in the running there for Pro-Am, popped off a couple wins, got pushed up to Pro, and then that's where his season kind of plateaued just a little bit. So it hurts to see him have to exit early as we see Delgado come down pit road again. I'm not for sure if this is because he maybe didn't fuel up enough or what it may be, but Delgado back down pit road.
I think this was a pit for fuel. This is a replay, actually. I noticed that as we were going to the replay for Winstone, Delgado hitting the pit lane again. And again, I believe that was for fuel. It was only a few seconds in the box. I think he was just coming in to top off there for car number 30. I was trying to hype up that battle for first and second in Pro-Am. It has not really materialized, but we are getting a little fight for third and fourth. But you know what, Zach? We've waited a little bit. We've built some anticipation. It's time for the North American Racing League Driver of the Day vote. We've pushed it just about as late as we possibly can here. Who you got? One driver out of each class. Let's hear it.
This one's pretty tough because I mean we've seen the cars of Blanett and Filippa be out front. I've got to give it to Blanett just because he started around his teammates with Filippa and his excuse me, I'm drawing a blank, but we saw him start around his teammates, and he was really the only one that's been able to shoot out of that cannon to be able to take that lead. So as far as Pro, I'm going to have to give it to Juan Blanett just because of that. He's been able to kind of separate himself from the rest of his team. The rest of the field really is holding a strong 3-second lead. Filippa has gained on him just a little bit, but he has been able to separate that, and that might be the difference in winning and losing today. So I'm going to have to give my vote to Juan Blanett.
Oh, don't think you're done now. You got a Pro-Am.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna choose. I thought you were gonna choose your Pro, and then we go down to Pro-Am. I apologize. Not to stick with the P1s in each class, but I'm gonna have to give it to Pecorini. We saw him we saw him take the win in the heat. He kind of slid down during the feature. He remained consistent with a little bit of tap there from, I believe that was Resende and Benitez. So these guys still going at it hard and a big spin.
That's Pastor around.
Pastor
and Benitez, and Pastor gets the short end of the stick. He goes for a spin here at turn number 4. Again, Remus, it's a great passing opportunity, but it has been chaotic here today. So that is turn 3, grabbing another driver here today. So you mentioned you're adding Eduardo Pecorini. That's a great addition.
Yeah, I think, like I said, Pecorini kind of slid down a little bit in the feature, but he wasn't really out of it. He had to battle around a lot of pros where the guys in front of him weren't really having to battle around. He stuck in it. He's been able to maintain that gap over Alvarez. Hasn't really slipped up because of it. Yeah, I'd have to take Eduardo Pecorini for my Pro-Am driver of the day.
I'm going to go a little bit out on a limb for my Pro pick, but I'm looking at positions gained. And, you know, I mentioned that Nicholas Rubilar threw away his effort here for the feature. He is up 31 overall positions. 31. He's up at his 17th overall. The Drago Racing driver is now in the top 10 in Pro. He's ahead of Nico Wierzbicki, Marco Saavedra, and some others. And he's outlasting a bunch of different drivers. He has positions up the road that he might be able to get just in the nick of time. Scott Kimbrough, you know, they're in the foreground with Nick DiPaula. He might be able to get there and make it for the top 15 overall. It's going to be close for this Drago Racing driver, but I think certainly Nicholas Rubilar deserves kind of a second look here. I know the sprint race did not go his way at all, but I want to give him a nod here in the feature for sticking with it, getting back up on the horse, and making the best out of it. Making lemonade out of lemons, certainly, here in this race. And, a slow car there into turn 3. I'm kind of conflicted. I don't really know who I want to go with, actually, in Pro-Am. I'm actually going to go for Paulo Godai, I think, because I look at positions gained, and again, he's up a bunch. He started at the back after issues in the sprint race, Zach, and he's up a handful. Let's see, what was it? When his name comes back around,
I believe it was 21 is what I saw.
something like that. Yeah, it's 20 or more, and that is really cool for Paulo. Again, not a great start to the day in the sprint race, but trying to put the pieces back together here in the feature. Wait for it to come back through. There's the last page of Pro-Am there on the ticker. I think we'll get one more, and then it should show him in 11th, as he is in 11th in Pro-Am, right on the back bumper, by the way, of Jason Allen, so he could easily crack the top 10. He's up 24 spots right now. That is really impressive. I think it's impressive already for Nicholas Rublar to be up that many spots, but add in the fact that Paulo is in the same class as all of these drivers that he's been passing from the back of the field, and that makes it even more impressive. I feel like he's going toe-to-toe now with Jason Allen.
Got Jason Allen there taking a little bit of an aggressive line, trying to hold on to that top 10 spot in Pro-Am. As we see, I mean, you got to defend. We are within the last 2 minutes, so I can understand the defense here. You got a fast car on your back bumper. He comes back over. Coming into 3, this has been a hectic part of the racetrack. Tries the crossover, not able to hold it just yet. But if he's able to hold that position right on his back bumper, there's going to be some doors that open up just for him before the end of this race.
And I gotta say, everyone, I know everyone has their own case for their own driver of the day. Remember, we can only pick 4 from a 50-car field. It is very difficult. Statistically, by the numbers, there's pretty much 12 drivers for every spot on that pole. That's really difficult to narrow down to just 4 to put on the pole, so it makes it difficult, but we are going to try and spread our picks around over the course of the season. We don't want to double up on drivers of the day if we can help it, so we will try to spread that honor around a little bit, as there's a battle at the back of the field. A couple of teammates here for Two Pine Racing Team, Angel Ledesma and Jose Ramirez, with Blas Diaz closing. But Zach, we're inside of a minute to go. We might have even gotten the white flag. Let me check the flag stand. Yes, we've gotten the white flag. Brought to you by Whiplash Simcams. This is the final lap here at Red Bull Ring.
I mean, we've been documenting some fantastic racing, but Blanat here just being able to hold that position, having to take over that lap car just behind him. So he's been putting on a good race. Felipe has closed in even more. He's almost under 2 seconds, under 2 seconds in that corner alone, but Blanat's ran a very consistent race so far. So it's really cool to see some new names start to pop up towards the top as he gets ready to come down through the final few straightaways here.
Final 2 corners now of race number 1 for Juan Blanat. It is going to be driver number 89, so long as he makes this final apex and gets back on power, and he will. Juan Blanat opens up Season 9 of the North American Racing League with a feature race win. He'll do it over Dino Felipe, Ralph Benitez on the podium as well. We'll be talking to the top 2 of each class from this feature event, and there we go. Eduardo Pecorini hangs on not only for the Pro-Am win, but a top 10 overall, as Daniel Pastor goes fastest there on the final lap of the race. Hector Alvarez second in class in Pro-Am, Nahuel Moron in 3rd, Miguel Colon in 4th up there in Pro-Am. The rest of the field coming on by the flag stand. We've got quite a few cars yet to finish this race. I'll try to focus on any battles if we have them, but it looks like most of the battles have calmed down. Here's a decent one. Ledesma, Ramirez, and Diaz. Unfortunately, it's still too far spread apart. I definitely think, Zach, while the Aston Martin is a refreshing sight, we have found our new meta car.
Hey, I agree. To have the amount of both Astons and Ford in here, I think it's really, really refreshing. So I guess it's just gonna depend to see how these cars can take on the rest of the tracks. Obviously, very, very fast here at Red Bull Ring, but it's gonna be interesting to see how these cars take to the rest of the schedule.
And Juan Blanat will tow back to the pit lane and call it a day here at the Red Bull Ring. Let's take a look at the unofficial race results then. Boy, 50 cars coming at you real quick for just the feature, of course. These are your unofficial race results. Juan Blanat with the win, 2.6 seconds back to his teammate Dino Filippa. Plenty of a gap, though, honestly, for Juan to show that he's got some muscle here in this series. It'll be third place for Ralph Benitez, Jax Rosende fourth, and Daniel Antunes. They're in the fifth spot. He just edges Eduardo Pecorini for that fifth position overall. It'll be Roman Pascucci in seventh, sixth in class, while Eduardo Pecorini does go sixth overall and win in Pro-Am. Hector Alvarez, Noel Marone, and Miguel Colon will complete your top 10 overall.
Behind them, Daniel Pastor will just be sitting just outside the top 10 after we saw his spin with contact there in turn 3. Turn 3 was not his friend. He will be finishing just outside the top 10, 11th. Jacob Stofko will be finishing behind him in 12th. Scott Reister with a fantastic run. Very, very consistent. 19th, 15th. 15th finish for the Heat and a 13th place finish in the feature. So great run for Reister. Jose Correa will be finishing behind him in 14th. Nick DePaula, a huge gain from both the Heat and the feature. He'll be finishing 15th. Nicholas Rubelar, like you were mentioning, Andrew, started tail end 48th, finishes 16th. Behind him, Scott Kimbrough will be finishing 17th, Jason Allen 18th. Paolo Gadai and Sam Soyd will be rounding out your top 20, 19th and 20th.
And back in the 21st spot, how about driver number 33, Nico Wierzbicki, from issues lap 1, turn 1 to nearly a top 20 here in the feature event. Lucas Souza will finish 22nd ahead of Romain Rateau. Icaro Piccolo, Marco Saavedra completing your top 25. It'll be Bobby Flack back in 26th. Martin Chico in 27th. Hate that for him. He had a great run going and should have had, I think, this Pro-Am win. Very unfortunate for Chico. Look to see him get back up on the ladder very soon. Angel Ledesma there, 28th. Josue Ramirez and Blas Diaz, your top 30.
Continuing on, Joaquin Mello will be finishing 31st, right behind him. Mike Baran in 32nd. Joshua Hadamion, Ricardo Delgado, 33rd and 34th. Edgar Ruiz and Fabio Zamperlini will be finishing behind him 35th, 36th. 37th will be Zach Plummer. We were talking about him just a little bit. He had a little bit of a drop from the feature grid. Francesco Antonicelli will be finishing 38th, 39th, and 40th. It will be Adam Brockway and Teague Ashburn.
And I'm pinging drivers for their interviews for your top 2. So if you're listening out there, if you're a driver or a teammate listening, top 2 drivers, please do connect very promptly. But 41st spot will go to David Schwartz. 42nd to Chris Winstone. I mean, all these guys out of the race early. Unfortunate stuff for each of them. We saw the incident for Winstone and for several others down here. Manuel Scully, 43rd. Victor Miranda, 44th. Then Diego Era there in the 45th spot. Victor Veloso, Andy Ray Miller, Marcos Franco, Jesus Culinari, and Pedro Berger. Your 50 cars to run here tonight, although Pedro I don't think made it on the racetrack at all here this evening. So that is race number 1 in the North American Racing League here in season number 9. A reminder as we wait on some drivers to connect for interviews, this is what's upcoming for the rest of the season. Here's a look at it. On to Spa next up for these drivers. That's always, I think, a polarizing racetrack. Some like it, some don't. We'll see how it is next week. Historically, Zach, I've had mixed opinions myself, but I'm excited to get to the new version of Spa and give it a shot in a few weeks. We have drivers connecting for their post-race interviews, and they've all checked in now, so let's go ahead and get to them, Zach. First up, your race winner tonight, Juan Blanat. Currently leading the driver of the day vote. I do wonder why. Juan had the field covered there in the feature race. And of course, there was the sprint race to go through first, Juan. So of course, walk us through that race first and then into the feature.
Hi.
We hear you, Juan. Do you hear us?
Yes. Sorry.
Oh, good.
My English is so bad. Okay, I have 2 good races, I think, with good pace. and in the second one, I administrate the race a lot at the beginning, because the off tracks was very heavy, and that's all. Sorry, my English is bad, and to speak here it's more bad.
Well, I'll ask you a simpler question. Out of the 7 races we have coming up, what are you most excited for?
I think Spa, the next one. The next one will be so good. It's a Spa in a heavy track.
Well, there you go. Spa being a track that Juan Blaina is looking forward to. Zach, I think that spells trouble for the rest of the field. Juan, congratulations. I think we'll work on maybe how we can conduct these interviews a little better next time out, because I think you're going to be up front a lot this season. Congratulations on a solid run, and hopefully we're talking to you more.
Thanks, and congrats also to my teammates, and thanks to SDR, and to these places that was so good for the team. Thank you.
Juan Blainat with a very, very good performance here today at the Red Bull Ring. We'll move on down to second place here in the Pro Class, Zach, and this will be Dino Filippa, his teammate over at SDR Sim Racing.
Teammates over at SDR, or excuse me, with man, okay. With Juan Blainat. Dino, we were talking about you during the race. You had a fantastic race in the heat race. Had to start P8 because of the invert, get yourself back up to P2. Talk to us a little bit about the heat race, what it's like racing around your teammates. All competitors still, but at the same time, they're teammates. So you gotta, from our perspective, you kind of gotta step on eggshells a little bit, or was it just go all out as much as you can?
Hi, Zach. Hi, all the guys are watching the streaming. Yes, for me and for our team, it was a really nice first round. The quali, I think I can improve my lap, but was good and enough for won the pole. And then we talked with Marcos and Juan. We need to stay on the first positions and try to save incidents, trying to battle in the last laps. And yes, I made a mistake. I take a slowdown in T1, and then Marcos made the same mistake, and I can recover the first position, but was really nice for our team. And the second race for me was a little difficult because I have a lot of teammates ahead, and I try to avoid the battles, but in some moments of the race I lost too much time. But I think, okay, I need to make a different strategy. I try to save a little fuel for try to overtake in the pit stop, and I think was a nice strategy because I can finish on second, and for me it's a really nice first round, and I am really happy.
Yeah, coming home with the P2, as you should. You were also gaining on your teammate there coming towards the end. But talk to us a little bit about starting P8 in the future with you being around the teammates. Red Bull Ring is a very fast track, so it's difficult to try to set up passes, try to position yourself in those positions to make passes. Was that one of the things that may have probably hindered the run there at the? Probably, not give you a bunch of time there at the end, but just the amount of cars that you were around versus the amount of cars that you were around in the feature, or in the heat, excuse me. Was that a little bit of a different feeling for you?
Yes, starting in P8 was a really hard challenge for me, because I have to gain position but saving incident, because this race, this feature race are really long. 40 minutes with 15x are really difficult. More in tracks like Red Bull Ring. But we talk with Juan and Marcos. We try to go to the front, but avoiding battle with us. And yes, in one moment, Marcos has a little contact with other car, and I lost a lot of time. I stay behind with so slow cars, and I have to release a lot of the throttle early, and okay, I have to save money, sorry, fuel, try to gain position without incident, but I have 4x with other car, and this makes really hard to gain more position in the final. But um, I can't battle with Juan, but I think it's a nice round for me.
Yeah, we were calling your name a lot, and I feel like we're going to be calling your name a lot more as the season progresses. Congratulations on the P2, just behind your teammate. We look forward to seeing what you have for the rest of the season.
Okay, thank you, and greetings for Scott. Thank you for the league, and for you for this streaming. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
There you go. That's Dino Filippo with the second place effort in race number 1 here for the North American Racing League in season number 9. On down to Pro-Am. How about Eduardo Pecorini? Boy, it's been a lot of fun watching you get back out there with these pros now, Eduardo. You were the top of the series, it felt like, or at least close to it in season 8. Now you're a class down. What's that like, being in the lower class now in these races?
Hi, Andrew. It's a lot of fun, man. The Pro AM, as you saw, has amazing pace too. Hector Paolo Godoy, for example, that had bad luck but had a mega pace. So we are mixed with the pros. The race is like it's a full field of one category for us. So really enjoyable race, man. Really nice. You don't think about the classes when you're driving there.
And we have a lot of great racetracks this season. Spa is next up for us. It's a few weeks until we go racing at Circuit de Spa, but what's your favorite that's on this calendar here for this season?
Oh, Spa is definitely one of them. There are all the tracks that's been posted for this season are amazing tracks. The new track for Mexico, it's great track too. So I think we're gonna enjoy a lot of good races, and hopefully my car, it's gonna be better in some other places than here.
There you go, Eduardo Pecorini, a fantastic run here in round 1 of season 9. And Eduardo, I think we'll call your name a whole lot more this season. Best of luck.
Thanks, Andrew. Thanks a lot for all the coverage and for NARL for organizing. Also a big shout out to my team Arete. We're trying to do the best for them. So see you around, man, and great job, and thanks for everything.
Always love talking to Eduardo Pecorini. First place today in Pro-Am, 6th overall in the feature event. Let's go on down to position number 2 here in Pro-Am. That's going to be the 2-Pi Racing driver of Hector Alvarez.
Alvarez comes up 1 spot short, taking the Lamborghini. I wanted to talk about that. Tell us a little bit about that car choice. We see the Ford and Ashton being the choice car. Hector, what led you to choosing the Lamborghini over all the others?
I was actually practicing with the Aston yesterday, and last minute I told my teammates, like, hey, I don't know why I don't feel good in any other car except the Lambo. I don't care if it's the slowest or the fastest, it's the only one I feel good at, so I'm just gonna pick it, blind pick. I thought there was gonna be a lot more people using it. I mean, I'm actually surprised there's not that many, but I mean, it felt good overall.
Yeah, I mean, with you coming in P2 for Pro-Am, and you were gaining there a little bit on Eduardo Pecorini before, what I'm assuming just may have got caught up with some pro drivers and whatnot. But I did kind of want to talk about that a little bit too. You ran from 21st on grid in the heat, finished 14th in the heat, started 14th for the feature, finished top 10 in the feature. So obviously you have some sort of car here. What was it like racing around those guys, especially being middle of the pack right there?
Honestly, humbling is the word I would use. I think this is the first time I've actually, in a competitive setting, raced with people of such high I rating. So it's impressive seeing how I'm extracting pretty much everything I can out of the car, and they just go away like I'm just standing there. But at the same time, like you mentioned, I started middle of the pack. I didn't have a good qualifying. I did get an off track on my last lap, which was going to be a little bit faster than what I did, but I don't think it was going to be much faster than, it wasn't going to be like 10 places. But seeing how the other fast guys around me were taking some corners, what I was doing different to them, adjusting my line and braking with what they were doing, and learning from as the race went, my pace started getting better and better. And by the feature race, I think I was pretty competitive. At some points, I was very competitive. Towards the end, I kind of dropped off because of the incident count. But honestly, I felt way better than I thought I was gonna do.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you were on pace, so we appreciate you coming up here, and we look forward to seeing that Lambo take up some more of the top positions as well. So we look forward to calling your name out a lot more as the season progresses. So we appreciate you being here, sir.
Thank you, and I hope I have the same hopes as you guys. So hopefully the Lambo can keep up.
Definitely appreciate Hector Alvarez and everybody here in the field this evening. Let's quickly award the North American Racing League Driver of the Day vote winner. And that, I don't think this is a surprise at all. It's going to go to, I think, the guy everybody expected here, dominating this feature race at the very least. One, Blaynat will take the top honors for Driver of the Day. Again, I don't think that's a surprise. We will do our best to mix this around and try to find some extra stories throughout the field this season. I know it's a stacked field, both in this pro race and the AM races to come, but we will do our best to mix that around. A big thank you goes out to Muradness, JS Consulting, Screw Compressor Service, and Rocket Designs, helping us get to these virtual broadcasts week in, week out, and our partners here at the channel, Whiplash Cams, MX Wraps, ATVO, Murtis Esports, CC's Business, and the North American Racing League. We do have to hurry out. I'm very sorry, but we actually have a broadcast starting, well, a couple of minutes ago, technically, so we're going to hurry out to qualifying for Caffeine and Octane Linear Raceway for the Sim Auto Racing Association. Super late models hitting the racetrack in just a couple of minutes. Stay with us at Pit Stop TV. Go to the channel page. We're going to switch broadcasts over to the other broadcast that is waiting to go live, and we'll continue our evening of racing there. You see everything else that's to come here on the channel. We've got a lot of great racing coming up throughout 2026, and next week, January 15th, we do it all over again, but with the amateurs here at Red Bull Ring. Zach, thanks so much for joining us. We will catch you all next time with the North American Racing League heading soon. Well, once again, right back here at Red Bull Ring, and then out to Spa for round number 2 for each series. We'll catch you all again very, very soon.